All right, if everyone would please rise for the pledge and remain standing for prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day and the start to what we expect to be quite a week. We just thank you for blessings that you pour upon us that sometimes we lose sight of. We just thank you for every individual in here. We pray that you bless them and strengthen them, guide them, and help us as a community to come together and find solutions to the obstacles that are constantly seemingly in front of us just as part of living life. We thank you for all your blessings. We pray for your guidance and wisdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, Jan, if you would, roll call.
Brandon Elmore.
Present.
Bob Leahy.
Here.
Jason Brewer.
Here.
Jim Heiss.
Here.
Peter Frias.
All right, now, I have been asked by Chief Legal Counsel of AIM to address something at the beginning of the meeting pertaining to some questions that were arisen from last meeting. So I need to do that before we get into the consent agenda. Pertaining to the 3-minute time limit that's affixed to the council meetings, Chief Legal Counsel from the AIM Association stated that citizens may be allowed to speak at a meeting of the public body, but the governing body has the right to impose content-neutral time, place, and manner restrictions on citizen speech in order to achieve legitimate interests of the governing body, such as controlling the agenda, managing time, and preventing disruption. Lawful time, place, and manner restrictions. A time, place, and manner restriction for a council meeting is valid if it is content neutral, narrowly tailored to serve an important governmental interest, and leaves open ample alternatives for communication of information. And the courts have long recognized that a governing body has the right to place limits on citizen comments during public hearings and citizen comment periods in meetings in order to achieve the legitimate purposes of controlling the agenda, preventing disruption, and making efficient use of the governing body's time. There is significant government interest in conducting orderly, efficient meeting of public bodies, and as evidence in Roe versus City of Cocoa, Florida, White versus City of Norwalk, Jones versus Heyman, Good News Club versus Milford, Collinson versus Gott, and Wright versus Anthony. So, and she provided those court cases, which is in this sheet right here. So in fact, Collinson versus Gott involves a 2-minute limitation per speaker, is deemed constitutionally permissible. But we obviously want to keep it at 3, and most importantly, we want to make sure that citizens continue to have the right to speak, because she actually started the conversation stating that the state of Indiana, we do not have to have a public comment section, but we choose to do so because we think it's the right thing to do, and it's what we want to do. So again, she asked me to state that for the record at the onset of the meeting. So I will go from there and we'll go into the consent agenda, if I could talk. You guys had a chance to review the consent agenda.
Yep.
Any questions or comments? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I will move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay. Consent agenda is, good Lord, approved as presented. We do have a special presenter, ABM. Yes. So I will turn the floor over to you.
No luck. No luck. My email is not connecting, so I can use your computer or well, they all have the packet. It's been emailed to them also, so they have the information. work. I think everybody's going to be in favor of it.
Great. So, first off, hi everyone, I'm Chris Mastriani. Raise this up a little bit. Does that work? Or
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, it's pretty quiet. From ABM, I want to first off thank you all for having us here. We really appreciate it. Eric Dustin is here as well. And we've been working with Steve since January. And I know you all have received the presentation that we gave to Steve a couple weeks ago. He asked us to come and talk about it at the council meeting. So again, thank you very much for having us here. I wish we could see the presentation on the screen. Unfortunately, we're not able to get that up there. But just wanted to talk about some of the important facts and things that we're doing, and then open it up to questions. I don't know if anybody has any questions. And ultimately, what we're here to do is we have a master development agreement that once we take the next step, that allows us to hire subcontractors, get our people out here and really dig in and find a great project for Union City. So I think the first building overall I just want to talk about is this building here. And I apologize if I keep looking down on my computer, but we ultimately here, there's in a lot of the different places, we have a lot of opportunity for what's called building envelope. Not sure if everybody's familiar with what that is, but that's windows, doors. Also a lot of opportunity with lighting. These are still in some of the offices, some of the areas in this building specifically, there's still fluorescent lighting. And then another huge opportunity is the roof here, where we can tie that into our project. There's some water, you're getting some water in the back of the building. I don't know if you saw the pictures in the presentation, but it shows it. Water coming through. And so, that's something that we're going to be taking a look at here. And I don't know if is it helpful for me to go through every building? Are you guys pretty familiar? I don't know if everybody wants to hear that, or
What do you guys think?
I don't want to waste anybody's time, but we certainly can go through.
We're good with whatever you think.
Okay, great.
But
We'll just keep on away then. The fire department, a big opportunity there, and a big part of this project that I'm sure you saw throughout the presentation was the solar portion of it. That's what's really exciting, and we'll talk more about that later. But we're going to be putting solar on the fire house, which is great because you guys just put a new roof where we would be putting the solar, so that works out great. There's also some HVAC upgrades there, lighting upgrades that we can do. But overall, pretty solid at the fire department. The one building we toured that I don't think we will do anything for because I think there's future plans was the police department. There are some opportunities there from a lighting standpoint. There's older fluorescent lighting and some building envelope items, but I think overall, I think we're going to probably not do anything unless we change that down the road in our talks with Steve. The other big places where we're doing a lot of the solar portion and where most of the energy consumption is used is at the water plants, the south side, the north side, and then the wastewater treatment plant. I don't know if you guys looked at the solar array, but we showed where we would put the solar, and that's in one of the slides. And that, and I want to compliment the city on the job that you did in the wastewater treatment plant. You guys did a wonderful job there. It's a state-of-the-art facility, and we've been talking a lot about that internally, so really, really good job there. It looks awesome. And that's where we're going to put a big portion of the solar project is at that facility. And then also same thing, there were some small opportunities at those water plants from an HVAC perspective, building envelope perspective. The North Water Treatment Plant, for instance, had a pumping, some energy that we could save from the VFD pumping. And then also, obviously, we're going to add the solar there as well. So, but tied in to that was let me see here, the street department. With the street garage, we also have some opportunities there just from a lighting perspective and potentially a roof there as well. Because that roof is quite old. That building is beautiful. Well, it's a beautiful building. I know it's one of the oldest buildings in the city. And then Mayor, actually, the street lights are also something we were looking at. I know you guys had some pain points there, and what we're looking at doing is, I know that when they put in originally the LED lights, they were very bright and white. We have the capability of putting tunable LED lights in, where you can actually move the color temperature to where you want it to be, which is great. So if it goes up and it's a little bit too bright, we can tone that down. And I know that was something, and Steve was kind enough to tell us about your Christmas display that you guys have in the park, which is pretty cool. We were really excited to hear about that, and I thought that was really neat. So something that I know is pretty important to you. So, but I think the overall the main portion of the scope is really the lighting, the building envelope. And then the biggest portion is the solar opportunities. And, approximately when we looked at your energy bills, we're going to be able to save the city, use about 70% of the power for the whole city. So, which is really exciting, which is, great. And then the solar portion, there's a federal grant that will pay 30% of the solar project in a direct payment back to the city, which is awesome. So it's part of the infrastructure bill. So very exciting about that. And we analyzed your utility bills. I told Steve I'm pretty intimate with your utility bills. I know that's where we got all this data from. And the goal of the going into the master development agreement, not only are we going to develop a project for you, but we're going to grade all of the existing equipment that the city has. It's going to help future-proof everyone's, the city, so that if you have aging infrastructure that needs to be updated 5-6 years down the road, we can develop a plan and help you guys with that. So, and we also, another big portion of this is we have a team at ABM, pretty incredible organization, and part of the team is we have a grant writing team. So we're also going to be searching for additional funding for the project to help out. And essentially, right now, with the savings that we have from the solar, from the building envelope, the lighting, you're looking at being able to self-fund around a $3 million infrastructure project, which is pretty awesome. And not only that, but we haven't even dove into the operational costs that we may save that takes you to run everything, and we haven't even dove into the finite detail that will help hopefully add additional funding to the project. So timeline right now, and Eric, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add, but essentially we're looking from now, it probably would take around 3 to 4 months, Eric, to develop the project.
Generally around 3 months. And just something else to add real quick too. So we did also explore some of the parking lots, a number of parking lots around the city, as well as the EV charging stations.
Yep.
So this is all a very holistic approach. Where ultimately the goal is anything that's going to use or consume energy, water, etc. We're trying to reduce that utility expense. So ultimately the goal is a self-funding project where there's not an impact to your bottom line. That's really what it's all about. You can capitalize on today's dollar value before there's rising interest rates and all of those other things that are going on in the market right now. And then save on that deferred maintenance, those projects that are a little more capital intensive that you can't do right off the bat. But yeah, so generally development for all of that is generally around 3 months, I would say.
So guys, just real quick, where we are with this. I've been working with 3 different consulting firms over the last 18 months on solar projects, on ways to cut costs and save on our primarily our electric utility, but on all utilities. And ABM's been the most responsive. They've actually followed through, got you a report, got you something to look at. We're sitting here now with a lot of data, a lot of research, and a lot of time, and now it's time to potentially look at spending some money to take this to the next level if we want to do something to look at cutting our utility costs.
You know, I think what we're asking, and you know, the development fee is $44,782, but that, or 732, excuse me. But that, you know, that is something that if we don't do a project, and I think like Eric said, like I've said, I think we have a very real project here with a lot of need, and you know, can really help the city. And you know, that's what I've said to Steve from day one when I walked in here, as I was talking to you know, the ladies at the front desk when the train was going by. You know, so it was. I'll never forget that day. But it was.
So I do want to emphasize the MDA that we have to put in front of the council here and the mayor is the master development agreement. There is no cost today. There is no cost up front. Ultimately, we develop this at risk. We truly believe there is a project. It is a partnership with the city. We believe it will be very close to, if not completely, self-funding. So we do the development at risk. We come out here once we have that. The only way that development fee comes into play is if after we come back here once we're completely done with our project, the engineers have been on site for everything, and you say thanks but no thanks. And it purely covers our cost. There is not margin, there is no profit in it. It is our cost to get any engineers and consultants out here that we have to do.
On a project like this, what is the typical break-even time horizon, if that makes sense? I mean, we were going to sink some money into the infrastructure. We talked about you know, tax incentives, and then the ultimate cost on the savings of the utility bills going forward. What is that break-even time horizon typically on a project of this size?
Eric, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, please. So honestly, it varies a lot, and I know that's a horrible answer, but it really does based off of the scope and where we dial in. You know, solar, for example, you can't. Solar, I've seen it everywhere from a 10-year payback to a 17-year payback. It's going to be very good here. They're ground mounted. We can get the angle right, but that's part of where we get into the development, and we get to go through that. And then as we work together throughout the development process, there really is okay, do we start off, do we do all of the parking lots? Do we throw on, you know, 3 EV stations, 4 EV? What are those? Are they level 2 charge? So there really is a lot that's going to change. I've had projects that are completely self-funding after 8 years. I've had other ones that they're not self-funding because a city or a municipality, a county adds a lot of very capital-intensive projects like roofs, parking lots that don't have a payback, but it reduces their upfront cost. Gotcha. So it really does depend on a lot as we put it together and work together over the next few months.
Okay.
The low-hanging fruit in my mind are going from fluorescent to LED lighting and the solar projects. Those are no-brainers in my head because of what we do spend and how we can reduce our electric utility costs pretty quickly.
Yeah, so just add on that. So lighting, I know there's some T12 lighting that'll pay for itself in 8 months. T8s, 4 years probably, somewhere around there. So it really, there's a wide range, and that's where the developers and the energy engineers come and put it all together and get that kind of conglomerate overall project work.
Okay, that makes sense. That, I mean, it varies. I mean, with the plan that you would put together, would you be able to come back and tell us, you know, a break-even time horizon point that, you know, for the project that we would put forth?
Yeah, when we finish the development after the 3 months or so, we would come back out and you would absolutely see the energy generated, the maintenance and the operational savings. You would see all of it, and then of course the total contract price. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and as part of that, we guarantee the savings. So it's not a hope. It's a guarantee. You know, it's not anything where, and there's also no change orders as part of the process. So, you know, I think it's to protect you. You know, that's to protect the city, and I think that's something definitely worth mentioning. So.
Last question?
Is it pertinent to this?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
State your name.
Yeah, James Hubbard. have you run this for the Area Planning Commission on the type of solar panels that's permitted in the county? Because there's certain type we don't allow. And also, I know they request a bond be set in case of wind damage or any type of damage, or if you go out of business or something, that they have to be disabled and take it away to cover the cost.
Yeah.
I know that is one of the things for the county, but I didn't know if you checked in on that or not.
No, but I certainly can. I haven't heard.
I would go to the Area Planning Commission and find out, because there's quite a few big rules that you will have to follow on solar panels.
Thank
and
you.
the placements of them and how they're placed.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah, the engineers are a lot smarter than I am, trust me. So I think
we
they'll
were
be.
involved in the ordinance on that, writing the ordinance, so
Yeah,
I
for
know
sure.
there
Yep.
was some
Yep.
really stiff stuff in that. You
Yep.
don't want to start a project and then they come in here and tell you you're going to have to wipe it out.
No, I will say, so we've done, I mean, solar EV, so ABM is a $8 billion publicly traded company. We've been around for quite a while. I would say we're not going anywhere, but to your point, we do bring, we brought a solar panel expert out here to look at it. They've done projects in Indiana. And
Disassembling them and getting rid of them is a big problem. A lot of toxic waste.
Any other questions?
And that obviously we vetted out in the step forward that they're trying,
Yeah.
that you're asking them to take right now.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Well, what do you guys think? Questions, comments, thoughts?
Also,
With everything.
I might bring up another thing. You might want to also, when you talk to the Area Planning Commission, take your project plans with them, because there might need to be some setbacks and stuff that have to be done through Board of Zoning Appeals before you do your project.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've got you guys.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. Yeah, for sure.
You wanna go ahead with it?
I say we move forward with it.
We need a motion for that?
Consensus, do you think?
Spending.
We're not spending money.
We're not spending any money at all
Yeah.
until
Right.
they decide not to move forward with a project. But they need council's consent to basically bring the engineers in and do the.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead and give a motion just to be safe.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and pursue the development.
We have a first, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Dan Wood. Roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Jason Green.
Jason,
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, department reports. I said I know that the onus on me to have an answer regarding the Paul situation, and we vetted this out 8 ways from Sunday since last meeting. Let me make sure I've got everything in order here. Okay. Goodness gracious. Okay, that's good. That goes there. Okay, now,
If you want to take off.
it's been quite an ordeal. Obviously, there's been concern about the legality of the lease with Paul's, and there's also been concern that I've shared about the nature or the spirit of the lease being honored with Paul's. And so we've had several meetings, including one as late as this afternoon. And so this is something I've gathered information. And so this is, if you would mind, please hold on tight. This is from Paul's, for what's worth, this first section, and then we'll have other sections. So the first section is from Paul's, just to help make sure that maybe help address any misconceptions that are out there. Paul's estimated that they've adopted over 150 dogs adopted. In addition, they have literally helped to reunite hundreds and hundreds of lost and found pets, including cats, dogs, ferrets, birds, goats, and other animals, not just from Union City, but from many surrounding communities in Ohio and Indiana. Many times pets are not even posted when found because we recognize them and contact the owners directly to get them back home. There's not a day that goes by where we are not contacted about a lost or found pet. Yesterday, Easter Sunday, was no exception. There were two. Thankfully, both were reunited. Over the 13 years we have existed, we have saved the city of Union City thousands of dollars and man hours. We've adopted dogs as far west as Terre Haute, Indiana, as far north as Ann Arbor, Michigan, as far east as New York City, New York, and as far south as Louisville, Kentucky. Our adopters are from all over Indiana, Ohio, with some cities being represented more than once. Locations include Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Madison, Lafayette, Crawfordsville, Noblesville, Winchester, Ridgeville, Muncie, Brownsville, Michigan City, Lynn, Saratoga, Connorsville, Parker City, Newcastle, Strawn, Huntington, Berne, Wilkinson, Spartanburg, Farmland, Bluffton, Fortville, Dunkirk, and Brownsburg in Indiana, Greenville, Versailles, New Madison, Lima, Columbus, Salina, Eaton, St. Henry, Bryan, Troy, Fort Recovery, Bradford, Powell, Cincinnati, Loveland, Springboro, Sidney, Coldwater, Brecksville, Barnesville, and Delaware in Ohio, and of course Union City. Many of our Paul's families stay in touch. It's always heartwarming to hear from them and receive pictures of former dogs. We have assisted the current animal control officer, Jamie Wright, in recent months in getting a few dogs reunited and even reached out to offer to take two dogs being housed at the police department. We have been asked to assist with dogs on just 2 occasions since January 1. Once, as I told you, was in January, just a few days before I was scheduled to have surgery. At the time, we had 2 dogs that were going into boarding while I was going to be recovering. To make it easier for my volunteers, so I told Jamie we would not be able to take that dog. He was very polite and understanding. The owner of that dog contacted me the very next day. I informed her that Union City, Indiana Police Department had her dog and they were reunited. The second request was in February, was for a dog that was still with its owner but was believed to have been neglected. During our conversation, Jamie mentioned that the owners had told him they'd rescued the dog from another shelter in another state, so I suggested that he contact that shelter, as most shelters want their dogs back if it doesn't work out. He said he would do that, and we covered that situation this afternoon, and he has addressed that, so that's been taken care of as well. So since 2017, Paul's has issued over 300 vouchers for spaying and neutering of stray cats within the city limits of Union City, Indiana, and Ohio through our Spay Away the Strays program. Unfortunately, we lost some momentum in 2021 and 2020, or 2020 and 2020 and 2021 due to COVID, but we're back on a great pace in 2022. Excuse me. The average cost for surgery plus a 1-year rabies shot is $55, fully funded by Paul's. The only thing we ask the applicant to pay for is a cap star for flea treatment if needed. The cost is around $7. Once a voucher is issued, applicants are responsible for making the appointment and transporting the cat to and from our veterinarian. This is an ongoing program and offered 365 days a year. To date, we estimate that we've spent well over $16,000. If you see a stray cat in Union City with an ear tip, it may very well be from our program. In 2022, a lady with the help of a friend transported over 30 stray cats from Peppermint Village on the Ohio side to be fixed through our program. It takes people like this to really make a difference. But we appreciate everyone who has participated in our program. Anyone who lives within the city limits of Union City, Indiana and Ohio can contact us through our Facebook page or text their email address to 765-575-5317 for more information. And then it's attached are before and after pictures of just a handful of dogs that have come to Paul's in heartbreaking and sometimes life-threatening conditions. Here's one before and one after as an example. Our dogs are fully vetted, including vaccinations, heartworm tested, spayed and neutered, and other medical needs that they have are addressed. We've been through surgeries, extensive dental work, cancer, kidney failure, mange, a pregnant female who gave birth to 9 puppies at our shelter, and even parvo once, as just a few examples. Our monthly vet bill alone averages over $1,000. The cost to run a shelter is astounding. In addition to our vet bill, we have many other costs associated with the animals, such as food, treats, toys, bedding, cleaning supplies, and other supplies. Like any other business or home, we have utility costs such as water, waste disposal, electric, and gas bills. We also pay for insurance, over $2,000 a year, internet, and security. We have no paid staff, and our funds come from the many fundraisers that we do, grants, and private donations. Our volunteers often donate items and or money and pay their own gas or for their own gas and use their personal vehicles to take dogs to the vet, etc., in addition to giving their valued time. Contrary to what some believe, we receive absolutely no tax dollars, and that is true. So Paul's receives no tax dollars. We very much appreciate the former administration who leased the land to us. It took us 3 years to raise enough money to complete the shelter. This was done again through many fundraisers, grants, and private donations. I speak for the entire board when I say we are very proud of what we have accomplished at Paul's in the past 13 years, and I would like to sincerely thank everyone who has supported us. Respectfully, Paul's. Now, I have vetted out the lease agreement with Ryan, our attorney, and Ryan has assured me that from everything he's found, it meets what's required. The only thing I can say is I'm not an attorney, so I'm going based on what our attorney has applied to us. But they do meet the spirit of the contract, was what my concern was, and they are actively taking dogs from Union City. And this is also something else I need to share. This comes from an outside entity and an influential source. As a veterinarian working with Paul's, I'm astounded at the commitment made to the pet's health, husbandry, and quality of life. I work with several shelters and rescues in the area, each with their own rules and strategies. Paul's is not the average shelter. Paul's is unique in that they never give up on an animal, no matter the age, problem, or disease that the animal may face. This is not possible because this is possible because the team is dedicated to ensuring these pets have a home. The goal is that these pets get a family home, but if that is not possible, then Paul's can be their forever home. Abandoned pets that are fortunate enough to be at Paul's are given an enriched life just as any other family-owned pet. In fact, better than some family-owned pets that I see. The team members at Paul's become the family to these pets. The team spends time with the pets and play with the pets, so they are well aware of each pet's needs or health concerns as they are very much involved with their lives. Knowing each one's personality, this is important for providing health care. Paul's ensures that the pets have a high quality of life, and when that is no longer possible, the team ensures humane euthanasia so that there's never any suffering. The team at Paul's are diligent to fundraise money to ensure the pets are well cared for. While veterinarians are eager to help, there's always a cost. The Paul's team is always eager to do more than their part to contribute to the financial needs of the pets. They work tirelessly to keep funds available at all times. I want to convey the success of the Spay Away the Strays program that Paul's provides. This is a huge benefit for reducing the population of unowned cats in the neighborhood while also decreasing the spread of disease. It is well known that cats are prolific reproducers. This program directly helps decrease the number of stray ill cats. Shelter work and controlling the pet population is very difficult work. It is a very physically and emotionally draining job, often thankless. The team at Paul's continues to succeed and help so many. It is a privilege to work with the team at Paul's as I get to be a part of a positive pet-loving situation. Sincerely, Stacy Hines, DVM, Lynn Veterinary Medicine, or Lynn Veterinary Hospital in Lynn, Indiana. So which transitions to my next issue. Cats are still very much a problem. I have had a number of meetings since the last council meeting, and I'm struggling with this, and I need help. We know there's a cat issue in town. In fact, I was corrected by my city manager because I said, I don't see cat issues around me, but I've seen them when I'm taking stuff down Howard Street, South Howard. He said, oh, you have a cat issue. He said, there's a garage in the retirement village that leaves their door open and has bowls of food set out and a ton of cats go in there. Well, They're not trouncing through our yard apparently, but apparently they are down there. So that has spawned one of the issues we're up against, and here's where I need help from the public. I need help on multiple levels. There's three, I guess, three different situations been cited to me where people are leaving out, and this is tough. There's people leaving out bags of dog food or multiple bowls of, or dog food, cat food, or multiple bowls of cat food, or giant bags, one or the other. And this is where stuff. I understand the heart. I love the heart for that because my wife and I have taken in a cat. His name's Tippy. He has 2 teeth left. He has to eat pate. He's 17. We've had him taken to the vet and all that, and so we've tried to do our part. In fact, another time where we had a great cat that kept showing up and had kittens, and it's like, oh my gosh, we were overwhelmed. And we found a farmer that we took them to so they could be together on the farm. So we're trying to do what we can in that sense, but it's not enough. But so I understand the heart to help, but the people that are setting out this cat food in droves is actually making the problem worse because they're drawing in these cats. And when we talk about the spray and neuter, people are like, but how is that possibly successful when you have all these cats everywhere? Well, the last couple of times we've had this company in to do the spaying and neuter, they said you don't have a feral cat issue. That's what they told us. You don't have a feral cat issue. You have a, what did they say? A feeding issue, or how do they put that?
Yeah, it's a people issue is what we have.
People.
Because they're feeding.
Which sounds awful. We're not going to be getting rid of people either, but. So that's one thing that we definitely need to address. And there's actually an ordinance that was passed to us from you, Mike, correct? That actually bans or asks you not to set out food like that because of it drawing in, and compounding the problem. That's tough because again, I understand the heart, but at the same time, I also understand the problem. So it's like, where do you go? We are going to try, like gangbusters, to solicit. I've met with our public safety director, who just had to step out. I've met with our police captain. I've met with our ordinance officer. And we are working on identifying farmers in the area that would be willing to assist if they would accept cats, and that we could set up traps to help hopefully draw them in.
Since we're on this topic, I got some input here.
Okay.
I went to the county assessor's office, and I'm glad Paws is doing all that they're doing and all that stuff, but you're overlooking the main issue. This is from the GSI from Randolph County. The city of Union City, now, according to George, he said everything in this square is owned by the city of Union City. You cannot build a private building on city-owned land. That's where you guys are skipping over. You can lease the land in the building, or you can sell the land in the building. You cannot legally build a private entity on public property.
We leased it to them.
No, you leased the land, you
Right.
sold the building.
We didn't sell the building.
It's
We-
in the lease.
No, we didn't sell the building. We leased the land to them. They built the building.
Yes, and you cannot do that. According to George at the county assessor's office, you cannot legally build on public property. I can't build on public property. No other private citizen can build on public property.
Well, that's
You can't do that.
I,
That's where you guys are looking over the problem. And then the second issue is, in order to lease or sell, they do not qualify for Section 7 of the law. That's educational, religious, all that stuff. Paws is not exempt from that. Therefore, there were needed 2 appraisals by 2 different companies with a medium in the middle, and that was the price that's supposed to be set. Your lease does not do that. Your lease goes against state law.
I appreciate that. You're going to have to take that up with our attorney. I appreciate that. I really do. That's beyond.
I brought the chance and opportunity to you guys. What happens next is on you guys.
Well, and thank you, and that's fair. I appreciate that because, like I said, that's what our attorney's for, and so that's where that's at. So what I'm asking for then with our cats is we need to come up with a solution that we've got a couple in the works, but I want a couple more. So I'm throwing that out to everybody, you know, in terms of the community and the council. So,
The one thought that I had was that, you know, the newsletter that we put out recently was a good point of information, or a good information document a lot of people saw that was mailed. And I think we could, if we had a properly put together document that, with some advice from others, not certainly all our ideas, but how to properly handle cats in this situation, to inform the public, because I know my neighborhood, there are numerous people that are doing the same thing, putting out food constantly. And one of the things that happens with that too is that there are cats that are some indoor-outdoor cats. There's cats that will move around but stay in their vicinity. They're spayed and neutered and everything, but then they go gravitate toward that food. And so while they're feeding what they consider strays or feral cats, they may be feeding the neighbor's cats too. But we need I think we need to put some good information out to the public about what's going on with that, and not do that, you know, what practices to do and not to do. And I think continue with spaying and neutering, because that has the long-term effect of that is good.
yeah.
But we need to address that in terms of public information.
Will do. That's a good
And I
point.
think advice from Paul's and the veterinarians and so forth would be useful in putting that together.
Will do. That's a great
As a
idea.
first, kind of, really, I think see that as a first step.
Absolutely.
Put it in the water bill maybe, or something like
Well,
that.
we can
or-
put down the water, on the back of the water
Yeah.
bill,
Or in the newsletter.
but the newsletter and social media.
Will
Yeah.
do. Will do. All right. Now, department heads. Well, we don't have any department heads. So, Jan, do you have anything? Council members. Tim, we'll start with you.
I don't have anything.
Bob? Or Jason? Sorry. Good Lord. You gotta have a complex before that. I saw Bob's face. You're like,
Oh, what's going on? It's okay. The only thing I have, some info on the flooding out by the park on Sunset Avenue, and Steve, if I do, give a better update than I can, but I think Cooley was going to go out there and run some cameras underground to get a look at the, any blockages or damage that may be causing these backups. And I don't know if they've been out there yet.
They have not been out there yet. We're working on getting them scheduled, and
Okay.
I've got a meeting next week with a consulting firm to basically initiate a PER to develop a plan for fixing all of that.
Okay, great. And then I just have, this is about a month out, but the Cars and Coffee be starting back up May 13th, 9 to 11 a.m. So this will be, again, the second Saturday from second Saturday of each month from May to October. And we're going to have a new location this year. So it was behind Hometown Coffee. Last year, we're going to move that to Pearl Street beside the Antiques Mall.
awesome.
So yeah, new location. Hopefully get some more
A little more room.
visibility and
Exposure,
people
yeah.
can see it driving by. So
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
a good idea. Thank you.
Yep.
Bob?
I just have one thing. I had a citizen's complaint for speeding on Diebold Avenue, which is the
On
street
Diebold?
that I live on.
Wow.
And I can probably verify their complaint. But they have grandkids. They watch their grandkids, and they
Okay.
babysit for a couple more little kids. And they wanted to know about changing the speed limit. And I said, yeah, I don't know about that, but I told them maybe we could put up a couple of signs at each end, slow children at play, and maybe even an electronic sign, the temporary that shows the speed limit in the middle of the street or something that would kind of maybe help the problem, or maybe an extra patrol down through there for.
That just means to be the hotspot because we're working on Jackson Pike right now too. So,
Well, that's really bad too.
so that's we're addressing that. So
Because I walk that street every morning, or Jackson, and both can verify the speeding on that street as well.
And 30 is on DeBolt, right?
Yeah.
That's okay.
And I think I brought this up before, I think 30's a little, because people are gonna drive 40 if the speed limit is 30. I thought that's a little high for a residential area. I can understand, you know, Columbia Street, Chestnut Street, Main Street on the high side, you know, for a little extra speed limit, but residential, I know some of the other towns still around still have 20-mile-an-hour, you know, speed limits. Use Winchester, for example, on some of their, you know, residential streets over there.
Okay.
But
Well,
I told him I would bring it up, maybe we can get at least, you know, some signage up and. maybe
yeah,
next
we can
week-
definitely take that step. And if you don't mind, if you want to canvass some of your neighbors and just see what their thoughts would be on a speed limit change, just to see if you can get a consensus
Okay,
on what that might look like. It's just out of curiosity. So,
the majority of the people out there don't have kids,
okay,
but, you know, it's only maybe just a handful, you know, of houses, but
gotcha. Very good. Thank you.
that's all I got.
No, I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Brendan?
I just wanted to give a quick explanation for my absence at the last meeting 2 weeks ago. So it was actually a proud parent moment I would like to share, and actually I think is a proud community moment too.
Right.
So I was actually down in Texas at Laughlin Air Force Base, where my son actually graduated from basic military training. He joined the Air Force as an airman, and he actually graduated from basic military training and graduated with honors. Actually, I didn't know that was the type of thing that they did, but they rank every airman as they graduate, and he was in the top 10%. So I think he's representing Union City well. So
Awesome.
he's actually on to his technical training. He moved into the special warfare dorms there in Laughlin Air Force Base, and he's training to be a SEER officer or instructor, which stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape, where he'll be training other airmen or other military men across all branches potentially to survive in basically any elements throughout the globe. You know, desert situations, Arctic situations, jungle situations, where military servicemen may find themselves and need to survive, and also in POW types of situations where, you know, an individual may find themselves in, being interrogated and what have you, and how to conduct themselves in that situation as a military service member. So. Again, I think he's you know, representing our community well, so just wanted to share that with everybody. So
That's awesome. Very cool. All right. Steve.
The only thing I have is I met with Mark Sullivan this morning on the wastewater treatment plant. We are getting some increased pressure from Laura with the Rural Development Office about getting the grant closed out. We still have a few significant change order parts and pieces that have not been completed. The meeting produced kind of a consolidation of the work to be done. Currently, the way we set today is there's a balance of $300,522 left in the grant, and by consolidating everything down and focusing on what we can get done by May 31st, we're going to spend $300,355.90. So Mark believes we can't get much closer to spending everything that we were awarded than $180. So we have signed the last two change orders. You guys gave us permission to go ahead and just get the grant closed out and finished up by June 1st at the last change order presentation. We've had to make a few tweaks and modifications based on parts and pieces and supply chain issues and things like that. So Rob and I are both confident that this thing will be done by the end of May, and we'll put it to bed. That's all I got.
Very good. Josiah.
I have some news that's going on at our school tomorrow on April 11th, Tuesday. There's going to be a first and second grade spring music like concert. So like little, I think it's a program ran by Mr. Hoggett, as or whatever our music teacher is. I don't remember. It's been changing so many times. But pretty much first and second graders go out and perform various pieces of music, and they sing their hearts out and giving quite a show to give us. And then also this week on April 14th, which is Friday of this week of the meeting, they are having the daddy-daughter dance at our school in the Northside Gym. So that's a very eventful thing. And then a little bit of a later event is going to be on April 22nd. Our prom is going to be happening. We are going to have the prom walk at 3:30, and then the prom will be happening at the Wedding Factory at 7:30, all the way in Albany. So quite an event for everyone to be looking forward to. So that's all I have.
Great job. Thank you. All right, now old business ordinance 2023-03, which is the annexation ordinance. This is on the second reading. Been no changes since the first reading and approval. If you guys don't have any questions or comments, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move we approve ordinance 2023-03, annexation ordinance on the second reading by title only.
Do we have a first? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That was Brandon. Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
All right, and then the journey home, finishing up old business. If you recall, we talked about the potential use of the opioid funds for that use. And actually, as it's structured, the opioid use funds are broad enough under Schedule A and Section A and B, actually, where you're providing support for treatment or recovery, or if my phone would quit messing with me, could you stop? Sorry. Support services, inpatient treatment, outpatient treatment, counseling. It's rather broad under number 4 for opioid use. And Mr. Eldon did.
Chad,
Yes, sir.
real quick, Jan and I both believe that that's the unrestricted fund. The restricted fund, we can't find any documentation on what can be spent out of that just yet.
Okay, but the unrestricted
The
is.
unrestricted fund, we should be good to go.
Yeah. So, and that is how much is unrestricted?
Unrestricted, right now, we have 7,526.
Okay, so that's 7,000 of it then, based on how it would align to what the journey home can provide. And we still don't have any clarity on the restricted.
Well, I don't know if
And
it's
that's-
restricted or non-restricted. What you just read from?
What I read from is,
Chad, the confusing part is it doesn't,
does it clarify?
and what the money can be used for, it doesn't specify whether you can use restricted or non-restricted or both types of funds. We have 2 types of funds. The money's setting there. We can identify the amounts. What I was able to find is that the state has not identified what is considered restricted
Okay.
yet, or what those restricted funds can be used for.
So the only thing we could safely approve would be unrestricted funds,
That is
and then we've got
correct.
to table any restricted expenditures. So, well, crap.
And I believe part of the conversation is there's still more litigation out there. There's still more money coming into these funds. Because as the cases are resolved and finish up through court, then there's more money added to those disbursements.
Okay.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, does that money, because it's unrestricted, would it have to be earmarked? So
We-
you have to show where it
there-
actually went?
We'll have to do that, but
Yeah.
there's not a clear
I know. I think that would kinda
defining
cover your butt if
statement
you did-
where
if you did
the
do that.
restricted funds can go just yet.
Yeah.
Peter, can I have some information that might help?
Yes, Eldon, please.
And Councilman, I didn't think of this when you asked last week. We have, our veteran outreach team works with several community partners, Reed Hospital, Foundation, and we run substance abuse mental health program grants through them. So this program, that our programming with veterans fits the substance abuse category. We have data that we can show that would support any kind of information, especially if you're to ask us for specific data, we could nail that down. But our veteran outreach team goes out and looks specifically for veterans at risk who have a substance abuse and mental health issues, dual diagnosis issues, and we have a licensed both clinical social worker and clinical director that works and treats and provides harm reduction issues and links them to those two services. So that program at the Journey Home to help veterans with substance abuse is in place and being funded partially by other community partners. So any funding in regard to this from the city would be in partnership with other community partners, if that helps you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Do the 7,000.
We'll do that and then follow up. We'll do that.
Do the 7,000.
And then get clarity on the.
Yeah, we need to get
Yeah.
clarity and then see what we can do beyond that.
Okay.
I think we need to still get clarity on that. So we'll,
Yeah, you almost need documentation sent back to you to prove
Yeah,
where
we
the
need
money
to
went to and everything, or otherwise the city would be liable.
Yeah, if you would, so we receive that in the form of a motion.
I will move that we will donate $7,000 to Journey Home
from the unrestricted.
of the unrestricted opioid fund.
We have a first, we have a second.
Second.
I don't know.
All those in favor, signify by saying, well, yeah, go ahead and do roll call vote. because we said-
Brandon Elmore.
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
And then what we'll do is come back to the well, because we'll try to get the clarity around the rest of this then.
Would that sound ungrateful?
No, absolutely.
You talked about 19,000 from the other account. Is that still on the table, or is that something different?
With the ARP funds?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
We'll have to, I
what,
don't think we're committing any specific amount yet.
okay. Yeah, let them continue to vet out, and we'll stay at this. So, all right. Thank you. First, actually the only item under new business, because the second item under new business is being tabled, the Backstay pilot agreement. And Mr. Anderson, if you don't mind, if you want to go ahead and give a rundown of the history of Backstay, well, not history of Backstay, but
I'll come back a while. Good evening, everyone. It's been a while since I've been up here on the Backstay Lofts project. I am thankful to be here. Chad and I and Steve and I have continued to talk through this project as we finished it up. Quick update, we've been open about a year now. We spent $13.5 million on that project. It's beautiful. I don't know if you all have been inside it, but if anytime you want to get inside it, just let me know and we'll talk to Madison, who's our on-site manager, and get you in. That $13.5 million was all new windows, new roof, new HVAC, new water, new electrical. We do a lot of projects like this, so we saved everything we could, which is why the brick, the storefronts on the old Opera House are still there. We replaced the rest of the windows. Concrete floors inside. We saved all the fire doors inside and strategically placed them around the building. So we're really proud of it. We think it looks great. It's been well received. 50 units we leased up in about 3 months. We are full, but for the usual, somebody moves out, somebody moves in. I checked with our on-site manager today. We have 35 on a wait list that are already income qualified and
Good.
immediately ready to move in. I know there were a couple of issues that had been brought up post-construction, which happens on every project. There was a water issue coming out the back alley. We spent the money to bury that line connected to the sewer. That's now been taken care of. As the mayor knows, if he calls Madison with any issues he hears, Madison takes care of them. There's a trickle-up effect. I hear about most things too, so if the mayor calls me, I already know what's going on. So we're here to be good citizens, and I hope the city's proud of the project as well. We certainly are. Reason I'm here today is we long ago executed a redevelopment agreement with the city, and part of that was a pledge of 100% of the TIF, the property tax proceeds in the project, back to the project. For those of you that have been involved in TIF bonds before, I'm a bond attorney as well, and not just a developer but attorney, but the documents are about that thick and they make your eyes water and your brain bleed. And while we do that a lot on our market rate projects, the legislature actually made things easier on us last year and adopted an ordinance that allows for a pilot agreement on affordable housing projects. And the two requirements are it has to be subject to Section 42, which is the Affordable Housing Tax Credit Program, which we are. And we have to enter into an extended use agreement for that affordability with the state of Indiana, which we have. That pilot agreement then you have before you is 5 pages. And the ordinance, I think, is 4. Instead of going through that process of the TIF bonds, the issuance costs, the ongoing oversight from DLGF, trustee fees, all of those kind of things. So what we have brought before you tonight is that pilot agreement and an ordinance. Merely states that you all are pledging the property taxes back to the project as we all agreed in the redevelopment agreement. We're just doing it through a pilot agreement instead of a TIF bond process. And I'm happy to answer any questions or walk through any of that. If you guys have questions about it, if you have questions about the project. But that's the reason we're here tonight, is to get that buttoned up now that we're finished up and ready to tie the last knot on this thing.
Does the pilot amount then reflect the current assessment as time goes on?
So the way TIF works is it was the current assessment when the area was created.
Right.
So our taxes would have been like $2,100 a year. The pilot gives us the opportunity to zero that out. We are renting, some of our 3-bedroom apartments are renting at $200 a unit. We're not making a lot of money over here. These units are rent restricted. 25% are at 30% area median income, 25% are at 50, and 50% are at 60. So the pilot agreement as written is 0 taxes. Had we done the full TIF bond process, it would have been about $2,000 a year.
Steve, have you heard communication from Baker Tilly yet?
I just checked again my email.
Okay.
I have not heard anything back from Heidi or Tom.
Okay. Because the only question I know they had was they questioned, our one council member wasn't able to make it tonight, had a question about the length. And then that's what they questioned as well. John, I think it's, if I understand correctly, it's for the life of the project until it would no longer be under the affordable category.
Yeah,
right.
So it's not forever and ever. I can't come in and convert this to market rate condos and not pay taxes. It's just so long as it is an affordable project. The minute that affordability restriction is removed, this pilot agreement terminates and we're full taxes. And we have a 15-year requirement for affordability with the state, and then another 15 years on top of that. There's procedures you can go through if you want to not be affordable for the second 15 years. We're unlikely to do that, but if we were to do that, then this pilot agreement would go away. So it's not forever and ever and ever.
But any TIF we've been involved with has a time limit on it.
It would have been 25. TIF would have been 25.
That was my question too, is what was the length on the TIF? as opposed to the pilot program.
Yeah, we were creating a separate TIF district for this project, which would have been 25.
I think we go with an agreement at 25 then on the pilot program.
But I don't think you can though, right? Or can you?
I mean, you can. You know, and it's up to you all. I mean, the 25 years is the maximum by state statute for a TIF, which has nothing to do with affordability. It's all about TIF. It's all about controlling TIF funds for the bigger, not to disparage Carmel and Marion and other places, but places that spend TIF. It's so that the city doesn't get mortgaged out beyond 25 years. The pilot statute is tied to affordability. So it provides us a different opportunity. This project's still going to be affordable in 25 to 30 years. So if we limit it to 20, and I'm going to be happily retired by then. If we limit it to that 25, I'm fine with it. Just understand it. The TIF statute and the pilot statute have different time limits for different reasons. But I honestly am fine either way. But that's the reason the 25 years is there, is the legislature is trying to get control of TIF spending. And the control in the pilot agreement is if it's no longer an affordable housing project, then the pilot agreement goes away. So for instance, if I take this out of the program in 15 years, this pilot goes away. Versus if I had a 25-year TIF with you, I could take it out of the program and it'd still be a TIF for 10 years, if that makes sense.
And just to be clear, Baker Tilly, our accounting firm, had no, they basically had no, Heidi had no opinion one way or the other. She questioned because she had not heard of this, which is relatively new.
It is.
And she is not an attorney or anybody that would know anything about it. She dots the I's and crosses the T's on our dollars and cents. So she was forwarding it to Tom Pittman, who does know about this. She was hoping we would have a response before the council meeting, which I have not received that yet.
And I know these are being used around the state, because it is relatively new, but on 9% and 4% low-income housing tax credit projects to address this very issue, that bond financing has become burdensome and expensive. You know, we could spend $75,000 in legal fees, and I don't even charge my legal fees to the project, to issue a bond to do the same thing that an adopted ordinance tonight does. And it saves the city money, it saves us money. And it's not a bond issue, which is why Tom Pittman probably had any time, but it's not a bond issue. So talking to Tom, I'm not surprised Tom wouldn't have seen it.
What do you guys think? And timing, because I want to be cognizant of the timing on this. Because you mentioned, I'm trying to think of what did you mention?
The equity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
Tax
have
credit equity.
tax credit investors in the deal. And this is one of the last pieces we have to get approved so that the rest of the tax credit equity comes in, which then pays off the loan, which is also becoming quite the burden to the project. But again, we're good citizens. We wanted to take care of the stuff that you all had heard about before I came to you and presented this agreement to you. So we took care of the drainage issue. The white box is 85% finished. They were in there working today. It's been far along for a while, but they just need to finish out the drywall and the flooring. I didn't mention that in my remarks. We'll have that ready to lease, ready to show end of April, ready to lease in May. So I know those were two issues people had questions about, the drainage on the backside and the white box. And I wanted to take care of those before I came back to you all and presented this pilot agreement.
Would you guys like word from Baker Tilly before moving forward, or you?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Absolutely.
And our next meeting is April 24th, so conceivably, with this being it's not a resolution, it's an ordinance, correct?
Yeah.
So we would have to vote, suspend the rules if they were unanimous then, to wrap it up.
So I take it needs to be done before that.
It just needs to be done as soon as I can get it done.
Yeah, just the sooner the better.
Could we do a first reading tonight and then have the 24th be a second reading with whatever Baker Tilly comes up with?
What he was talking about is suspending the rules and basically passing it
No, I
on the
understand.
24th. The same way, basically getting us the same position.
Okay.
I would be more comfortable waiting on Baker Tilly.
Yes. I apologize. I told you, I know I sent a message earlier today. I was hoping to hear back from
Yeah,
them.
Baker Tilly's just not going to have much to say on this because it's exactly the same result as a TIF.
Right, right.
So it's,
But we-
they're not going to run numbers like Baker, and we work with Baker Tilly all over the state on projects. Baker Tilly gets involved because they're going to determine the assessed value and then the tax rate and then an interest rate to determine the face amount of a bond if we were to issue a TIF bond. That's where Baker Tilly, they're the financial analysis on all of these TIF bonds. On a pilot agreement, there's no assessed value and tax rate or anything to analyze. So they're likely not going to have much to say about it because it's not the same mechanics
Right.
as a TIF bond.
Right, okay. But hopefully we can have it wrapped up then April 24th. So that way you guys can proceed then. That'd be all right?
That's fine.
Cool, cool.
Any
Well,
other
they
questions about the project? Because I may have to be in Evansville on the 24th, and I don't. If
Yeah,
it's
do you guys have any
possible, I just don't know where I need to be.
Right.
All these cities have council meetings on the second and fourth Monday, so I can't be in two places at once.
Right.
yet. So if you guys have any other questions about the project, I'd love to answer them now, or reach out to me in the next week or so that if Baker Tilly comes back and we're all good, then we can suspend the rules and vote unanimous and be done with that.
You guys do that then if you have questions. Bob, you have one now?
Just the comment you made with the white box.
Yeah.
Can you clarify that or explain that a little more?
He's talking about the two spaces on the bottom floor on the
Or
east.
the office, the old office area?
Yeah, they're at Oak and
Okay.
Howard. Yeah. And so it's, and even there was an old safe that we found in there that we're inserting into the wall. Some of the tin ceiling we were able to save to do a bit of a border up top, but they're just finishing it up so that we'll be ready to show at the end of this month and lease it next month. So if you guys have anybody looking for space downtown, it's going to be really nice, big, open
Good.
space
Thank you.
available. Yep.
John, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks,
Appreciate it.
everybody.
And lastly, visitors wishing to address the board, please stand, state your name, and address the nature of business. You have 3 minutes. Is that? Brandon, you run the time?
I don't have a pen.
Yeah, Jim Hufford, 11.2 West Oak Street. I don't know if you can do anything about this, or who do you talk to at the county, because I've been over there a couple times. House across the street, I think it's condemned now, the old Carpenter house. It's right across the street from me. I went over to the county, what, a year ago, year and a half, and talked to them, and they told me I'd have to pay the taxes on it, which was $3,600. I told them, I said, well, okay, let me talk to my wife and see what we can do. I come home, talked to my wife, I went back over, it was probably 2 hours, and they said, well, we already sold it to another woman up in northern Indiana for $400. I said, well, why did you make it $3,600 for me? And she said, well, she's from out of county. It didn't make sense.
When it was condemned?
Yeah, so now, I seen here, they put a yellow sign in the yard. It's got a telephone number on it, for sale.
For sale.
I called them, because I thought, well, she could make a little money off the thing, and I could too, you know, but she only paid $400 for it. I asked the guy, he said, well, I don't know how much they want for it, but it'd be between 10 and 20,000.
Okay.
I don't know.
Who did you talk to at the county?
The standard for the county to do that?
I don't know.
No idea.
Who did you speak with? Do you remember?
It was in the recorder's office and stuff over there, yeah. I don't know, that was a couple years ago. I don't know if it changed people now.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
You know, no, it's just been over a period of time, you know.
Okay,
I've been
I
trying
see.
to get the place, and, because I wanted to remodel to it, now the back of it's caving in and everything else. So.
That's on Jamie's condemnation list still, is it not?
I don't want it torn down, that's my problem, because then all I see is the mess over there at
Right.
Johnson's.
Right. Okay, let me go with Jamie and I gotta make sure I get the right address. If you give me the address, that would be great.
Okay.
Oh, it's got the yellow sign on it. You already
Yeah,
said.
it's 1127.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know, yes.
You know exactly.
I know exactly where that is now. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Joshua Kimbrell, Winchester, Indiana. I wanted to clear the record. Last time I came here, I spoke. I misspoke. I made a comment along the lines of, I talked to Aaron, and Aaron told me that was incorrect. I didn't mean to say that my mouth was moving faster than my brain was. What I meant to say is I was talking to other people about the Aaron situation, and they told me that Aaron comes out here. So I just wanted to clear that up. But like I was saying to you guys, I went down to the county assessor's office, talked to George or Greg. I think it's George. Now, according to George, you guys own the Paul's building. Union City owns the Paul's building. According to George, this is the county assessor. I mean, the only thing you guys presented so far were opinions. He said for a fact that Union City owns this. I have this here, and I have the property cards printed up. Union City, the city of Union City owns that building. Paul's does not. Now, whatever the lease says is one thing, but according to the county assessor's office, you guys own that building. I just wanted to let you guys know that for sure.
The lease is what puts it in Paul's hands.
But according to him, you can't do that. I'm just bringing the message because last time I brought it to you guys, I wanted to have a discussion, so I went to somebody who would know. I mean, this is from him. I got it for you guys. If you guys want a copy of it, if not, it's fine. So,
Thank you. Yeah,
no
thank you so
problem.
much.
And I wanted to clarify something else. You were talking about speech earlier. Any of us are allowed to talk. Citizens are allowed to talk. Just because that timer goes off doesn't mean our mouths have to shut. Speech alone cannot be ruled disruptive. Can't. Now, if I'm up here screaming, making loud noises, interrupting the meeting, but if I'm just talking normal and I'm talking, that's not a violation. If you don't believe me, look up Bilberry versus the city of Winchester. They paid a hefty fine for trying to silence him and trying to have him removed from a meeting. I'd advise you guys not to do that, but thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Oh, you need some help? Okay.
I'll make it. I live down by Tim, just around the corner from Tim, and I was wondering, are you guys planning on farming the rest of the farm out there where they're going to build the houses?
No, sir. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Ricky is to prevent erosion.
Okay, to prevent erosion. So yes, yes, sir.
Well, it would be advantageous if you would have them to plant beans out there instead of corn.
Okay.
Nobody likes to live in the cornfield.
I will let him know first thing in the morning.
Way to go, Tim. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Very good. Anybody else? All right, the day of the next city council meeting is Monday, April 24th at 6, and the date of the next Board of Public Works is also Monday, April 24th, and that's at 1 p.m. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a first, we have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.